Crazy times. Zach Oxford, what's up,
Hello.
man?
I'm well.
Friend of the show, Mr. Oxford. You don't need an introduction. You've been here multiple times. I think you're definitely the leader of the guest appearances I've had on the show.
No
I
kidding.
think what is this, like your third or fourth
I
now?
think it's the third, yeah.
Yeah, but seems like every time we get together, though, there's just other crazy stuff going on in the
Yeah.
world. Or
Yeah, there is.
what's been before we get into whatever we get into, you've got some stuff going on out at the farm here coming up.
do.
You guys are offering some sort of little course or something out
Yeah.
there.
So, I mean, with all the originally, we're offering a chicken butchering workshop. We with everything kind of going on with the government shutdown, the SNAP benefits, and all that. Last time we talked a lot about church and things like that. Like our opinion is a lot of this. I think the church should be stepping up to help people. And a lot of churches aren't.
Sure.
So our comment initially was we were going to charge for a chicken butchering workshop, but in kind of the time that we're in, people are hurting for money. I think that's a skill that a lot of people want to learn. So we're offering it for free. So we've got a free chicken butchering workshop coming up on November 22nd, 9 o'clock that morning. You can find that on all of our social media pages. I'm going to try to just push that kind of a few times a week from here until then. So that's week after next. We're just going to let it kind of go as long as it wants to. If people have questions, if people want to see the farm, things like that, we're just going to talk. Like, we really, our heart is for community. We really want to see our community come together. Because if times get really tough, I'm not saying apocalyptic bad, but just, if travel was limited or grocery prices skyrocket, like speculation says that they are. If they keep going up, like, people need to know these things. People need to know how to, raise a few chickens in their backyard. People need to know how to grow vegetables. People need to know how to make some sourdough. People need to know how to, grow a garden for themselves. So we're really trying to focus on some of that. And so we will do some classes that are paid, but we also, like I said, we also want to do some stuff that are going to be free for people.
Yeah, that's cool. I agree. I think more churches should be stepping up and kind of stepping into this role of helping, where they can. Is there anywhere around that area that does anything like that puts anything together to that
for like chicken butchering?
Well, just maybe not to chicken butchering, but
I see a lot. I don't in our local
it was
area.
like the pantries all the time that they were doing.
Sure, there's food pantries. Like our church has a food pantry, which is great. Like, I don't want to negate any of that. But what happens if you go to a food pantry and they're giving you canned goods? They're giving you a sack of potatoes. Most people that are on, and I'm not belittling people that are on SNAP benefits. I don't want to make that a thing. But if someone that's on SNAP benefits, they most likely don't know how to cook, or they don't know how to cook a lot of things. They may know how to cook something out of a box meal or something like that, but they don't know how to fix a big thing of mashed potatoes. They don't know how to make, certain things. Like, potatoes and rice go a really long ways on a little bit of money. You throw in some ground beef with that, you can make a lot of meals. So we really want to be able to teach people some of that. We gave away some free bread a little while back. Again, just to show people, like, hey, we want to support you. We want to teach you. We were trying to kind of draw a little bit of attention to ourselves of, like, hey, we will show you how to do these things.
Right.
If you don't know how to do a skill, come ask me. If you need more money, like, I'm not going to give you money, but let's maybe, I know a lot of people that need people to work for them, even as farmhands. If you're a dude and you're just like, I'm on these benefits because it helps me out and I get to work less, I have a problem with that. You can go down that rabbit trail, but that's just laziness. I'll address that, but then I'll help you. Like, I'm not going to just be like, you're a turd. You should work more. I'll give you a solution with it.
Yeah. What's been kind of the outline basis of, I've seen the headlines of what's going on with the SNAP benefits. I haven't dove into the details of it. As far as that goes, is that so they've cut funding federally?
Yeah, and I don't know all the details. I just know I do know that they were either fully cut at one point
Hmm.
or they were mostly cut. Either way, it was really dipping into a lot of people's pocketbooks. Um, I had people that had reached out and just said things like, with the bread, whenever we were giving away bread, um, we gave away almost 3 dozen loaves of bread, which in the whole scope of things isn't a lot, but there was just people that were like, hey, like SNAP benefits, they didn't completely dry up for us, but this has been hard on us. We'd love a few loaves of bread. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's get you some. Let's
Yeah.
teach you how to make it if you're willing to make it yourself. Like you can go buy your $9, or $6 thing of flour,
Hmm.
and you can make 12 of these yourself.
Right.
I don't care to give you some, but like I'd really like to teach you how to do it.
Sure. Yeah, especially because it's not. Briley's been like dabbling in it and get into it. It is a little bit of a process.
It is. It is.
The
Yeah, it's not just, mix some ingredients together and poof, you have bread. Like you do, there is a science to it.
and you have to, like
Whether it's
toss them out and refeed
yeah,
it.
yeah,
and
especially
then-
sourdough. Sourdough
That's what
is
that's
way more
yeah.
of a science than just a basic yeast bread.
Yeah, the
Um,
sourdough is what she's been dabbling into. That's the bread that I pretty much stick to.
Same.
Um, I don't know. That's like multiple reasons. One, like mainly being religious. It seems like that's like the kind of bread whenever it talks about bread either in the Bible or like on fasting days, whenever
Sure.
you can have bread, and like sourdough is the only one you can
Yeah.
get that's like doesn't have
It's healthy.
eggs and milk.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've noticed. So I've kind of switched to that pretty much full time. That's the bread, all the bread that I eat, and yeah, it doesn't sit as heavy. I digest it a lot better. Just a lot more simple. My diet's pretty simple for the most part though, and a lot of that again has come from just like readings of the Bible and stuff I've been reading, and just like like you said, the real basic, the rice, the potatoes,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
bread, and like some fruit and vegetables,
Mhm.
and that's pretty much it.
Sure.
It just a lot of people they don't they don't either know how to prepare it, I feel like, or maybe they don't have the means to prepare it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I can toss something in the air fryer or like
Absolutely.
do all these things.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
I have to remember that not everyone's got those kinds of things at home or can make things that conveniently. And yeah, the potatoes, that's what I've been thinking about since you said that. It's like, yeah, well, if you just give someone a sack of potatoes and
They really don't know.
like what are they, yeah, if they
So-
don't have.
I had some discussions with a guy at our church actually about this, and his comment was he's like and this isn't saying like from a spiritual sense, but just the decline of skill sets that people are I guess losing. There's probably going to come a point where he jokingly kind of said like we're probably as the church going to have to teach people how to boil water, and I think that there's a lot of truth in that. That just the direction that we are going as a society in this like microwave society where we run down to the local, Huck's or Walmart and we grab, a TV dinner and we toss it in the microwave and we look at the back of it and says, it doesn't tell you how to cook anything. It just says place in the microwave on high for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the way that a lot of society goes. Or, you run down to Pizza Hut and you get your large pizza. So and again, nothing inherently wrong with the pizza, but, if you're looking at from a budgetary standpoint, a large pizza from Pizza Hut's going to cost you, I don't know, what, $8, $9, $10
Probably
for
more
one
than
time,
that
maybe
now.
more than that. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while.
But if you were to buy, your own cheese, your own sack of flour, you might spend $20, but you can get 20 pizzas out of that
Yeah.
$20.
Right,
And that's
right.
gonna, if you love pizza, make your own. Like it's not hard. Like it just people need to be taught these things. We really are trying to focus on the farm, on the educational piece. Like whenever I say like our heart has shifted to community, like over the past month, that's been God's pull on our heart is to focus on the local community, even from a proximity standpoint of who is, if times get tough, who is right by me, who's my next door neighbor, like who am I going to be able to be in community with on a daily basis, because there's no such thing as like self-sustainability. I could make that point all day long. No such thing. Unless you are maybe a billionaire and you can bring all this stuff in, like
Well, even Elon doesn't have SpaceX without his team of engineers.
100%.
It's like
Yes. It's a community sustainability is what we're getting into.
right. Yeah, even the top people in the world, no one
Yes.
has made it to those spots.
Yes.
Unless you've inherited it all. And that's really the only way.
You can buy all the freeze-dried food that you want. If we're gonna, make the people want to talk about like an apocalypse standpoint, you can buy all the freeze-dried food that you want. You can store all of the bottled water that you want up, but that's never going to be something that you can do for a lifetime.
Right.
Never. You could never have enough of that. Eventually, freeze-dried food's good for 25 years. Well, what happens at year 30? What happens at year 50? What happens to your kids? Like I want to provide something that is sustainable, teach my kids how to live in community. And we can get into like the biblical part of that, talking about, King Hezekiah, talking about Joseph, talking about like the book of Acts even. In Acts, I think it's chapter 4, it talks about how the people lived in this community and there was no need among them.
Mm-hmm.
None. Zero need. Like what's that look like? And that wasn't just something that the Bible talks about as like, oh, this is something cool that happened back then. Like it's a model that we can pursue.
Sure.
So like, what's it look like for like a local church to be a hub for community, to where not only you're being fed spiritually, but you're also bringing in people that have skills like carpenters. What happens when my neighbor knows how to be a carpenter? What happens when this guy over here knows how to be a mechanic? What happens when this guy over here knows how to grow food? When this guy over here knows how to raise horses? Like at that point, you're talking about a society that, I'm not going to say without any need, but you're chasing that, you're chasing that model.
Right.
So that's really where our heart's been. Again, like in any system, like everybody needs to know how to do certain things, but some people may be more specialized in other things.
Mm-hmm.
You're the fitness instructor. You come in and teach people how to stay fit in these hard times.
Sure. So. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying. Yeah. Does a community like that exist only if we remove wealth from it? Do we have to pull currency out of it first? Like, do you think that
so.
Really, you don't know it? Like, because I just don't know if like the power of money. And I was listening to this interesting video the other day about someone just talking about,
I think it takes wealth,
money, and how just like this concept of money, it being just like paper. Mm-hmm. And they were like going on this huge rant about like, why couldn't we have just chose like, this pen? Like, why can't I just pay you with this pen? Like, what's the difference between me paying you with this pen and me paying you this piece of paper?
Yeah.
Like, what's the actual difference? It's like this unspoken about thing that we've all just bought into for no reason that we really, like, no one really knows. Like,
well, isn't it, what do they say about gold? Like, if you took all the gold that's currently in the world, I mean, it can fit in like a rather small room.
Yes.
Like, it's not like some... grand thing like steel or anything like that. Like, it's a rather small amount, but we have placed this value that the gold is worth this amount. So like what happens, I put a post out on Facebook a while back that, it's kind of a joke, but it was talking about like, it was a timeline of as time goes on, it was this decline of there's like the dollar at the top. Mm-hmm. And then it was like the next line down as time went on, the more valuable thing was cows. And then as time went on, the more valuable thing was barley. And then as more time went on, like the final stage was like learning how to build a fire, with just 2 sticks.
Isn't that what it says in the Bible, that eventually it'll all be back to like the time of Moses? Like, that's what it says. Eventually everything will eventually back work
to
its
like
way.
Eden.
Be back around to where everyone is. We're now trading livestock and things that we actually need to survive instead of just stuff that makes us feel good we think that makes us feel good that we've replaced. And that's been I haven't gotten much into the book of Acts yet. I'm still, my readings through the Bible is really slow.
Sure. It should be.
I'm very like, I can make it through a couple pages before I just have to stop and reread and kind of go back through and highlight what kind of makes sense. And like, I try to put myself into the times of like every single story that takes place so I can understand it to the full. Because otherwise I can get caught just like, I can fly through some pages kind of quick and realize that I've read like 10 paragraphs and I don't have a clue of what's going on.
Oh yeah.
And I think that can be easy to do in the Bible if you're not careful.
It can.
If you're not paying attention, you're kind of just skimming through.
So what book are you in?
I just finished Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, and then in the New Testament, I think I'm only like halfway through Luke in the New Testament.
Yeah.
So
Old Testament takes a lot to chew on.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm
got
finding
some cool stories though.
I'm finding myself drawn back. That's why I'm 2 more books ahead in the old. I
Yeah.
started out reading. So every morning I'd spend about 30 minutes in the Old Testament, about 30 minutes in the New.
Sure.
Because whenever I read them in that way, kind of going back and forth, you can like see these similarities that you're just like, it'll just blow your mind.
Yeah.
But now I've found, because at the beginning I was like going through the genealogies and all this stuff. I'm like, oh boy,
You blow through that.
yeah. Well, eventually I did. After like the second genealogy I read, I was like, okay, this is not pointless.
So
I
and
don't
so
wanna-
beget so and so.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to call it pointless, but it's just like, let's be real here.
Yes.
I'm not gonna remember any of these.
100%.
names. Like
100%.
So I read the very first one, and then I went to the very last one.
Yeah.
I was like, that's who I need to know. That's the transitional periods. Like that's where I need to be. Those are the names that are sticking out to me. So that's what. Now I'm like 2 more books ahead in the Old Testament, but I'm feeling like super pulled into the Old Testament for some reason. Like wanting to, every time I'm like, like probably switch over to the New Testament. See, I'm
Sure.
like, I don't know, like a couple more paragraphs maybe. But I switched between the Ethiopian Bible and then the Orthodox Study Bible, the two that I switch back and forth between. The Ethiopian primarily just because I do a little bit of reading out of the Apocrypha too once a day.
Okay.
Probably like 30 minutes. I'll just go to one of the Book of the Apocrypha. And right now I'm on like the 3rd book of Enoch, and then go into the 3 books of Maccabees and the letter of Solomon and
Haley and I just bought the Book of I've never read the Book of Enoch. So yeah. So we just bought it within the past like month. We're have to chew on that.
So you haven't read any of it? You haven't cracked it open yet?
I have not. I think Haley's read a little bit of it, but I've not read it at all.
Yeah, it's just like the basic, for those if you don't know about the Book of Enoch, it's in the Ethiopian Bible, it's still
Part of it.
100%. That I don't remember the exact story, but I was listening to this story of a person that they were in Ethiopia and had found themselves at one of these old Ethiopian churches and went in, and whenever they went in, there was this huge book up on the altar, like way bigger than they were used to. And he was like, "What is that?" And he said, "That's the Bible." And he goes, "Oh, that's your guys' Bible?" And he said, "No, that's the Bible." And he said, "Really?" And he was opening it up, and he realized there's 88 books in the Ethiopian Bible. 22 more that's in the King James version. And that's what this guy was going through it. But that's what this Ethiopian preacher, he was very adamant. So he said, "No," he said, "That's the Bible." Yeah. And the Book of Enoch is still actually, you can find it, I think, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's copies of it. In the Orthodox Bible. It's really, to me, it's not the most bizarre stuff. If you truly believe in God and I think what we've gotten away from in America, and this is my very uneducated opinion and thoughts on religion, so don't hate me for them. It's just like we've gotten so far away in America from the spiritual side of Christianity and God, where it's, the debates about like ghosts. What do you think ghosts are real or not, or any of this stuff? And to me, it's like you kind of have to believe in all those things. Like you can't if you believe in God, if you truly believe in God and you really believe that Jesus Christ actually rose from the dead, like physical body left the earth, and like all of these things, you can't like just disavow like whenever people talk about ghosts or demons or anything. And I'm like, no, I'm like, it's kind of the same thing here. Like we're talking about a realm that we don't understand, that we can't see, and that it's all kind of the same thing. And so
completely agree.
The Book of Enoch, whenever you get into it, and to some people they're reading it and they're like, "Oh, this is so bizarre," and me, I'm like, I don't know, like, some angels that possibly, I mean, even back to the earliest stages in the Old Testament, people have constantly revolted against God since the beginning times. He's been fighting us on us just not wanting to obey. And
Enoch talks a lot about like the fallen angels and the Nehpilim and things like that, correct?
Yeah. So to my understanding, Enoch is between like the creation times and the flood.
And Enoch was one of 2 people, I believe, in the Bible that never died. He just was taken to heaven.
That was taken to heaven actually walked with God, actually
Yes.
saw God.
Which that's what the Bible says, is that Enoch walked with God.
Mhm.
Which that statement right there is huge, and I've heard people mention that. There's one guy in particular that I do listen to quite a bit, and he's who kind of sparked me and my wife to talk about or to buy the Book of Enoch. But he talks about, like, we underestimate the gravity of the statement that someone walked with God, not just lived a good life, but like he walked with God.
Right.
And then for him to have never died either, and just have been having to be taken up. If you're one of two people in the Bible that was just taken to heaven, because it was the other one, was it Elijah or Elisha?
I think I think
There's
so.
one of them.
Yeah.
Like that's those are big statements. So I'm curious to get into it. I'm glad we went down this rabbit trail, because that kind of sparked me to, or reminded me to
It's
go get into it again.
It's also really interesting. So yeah, so to my it's because after you get into like Genesis, and it talks about whenever he's talking to Noah about the wickedness of the world, and everything is just basically gone to hell. And um I remember thinking to myself as I'm reading this, it doesn't get into what was going on though. It just
Yeah.
says that God's like, stuff's out of control,
Sure.
and this can't carry on the way that we're carrying on. So get you, your wife and your 3 sons, and like, I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's over, and but it doesn't get into, again, like the specifics or the details. It never mentions like what was going on, and that like kind of struck my curiosity. And I had like heard of Enoch, but at the time I hadn't really gotten into it. And then once I like was reading about Enoch, and it was like, okay, this seems to be kind of explaining what was going on
The in between.
at those times where, the God says that everything got out of control, and then he had to flood it. And it also mentioned, like, there's just a couple sections in here that I've highlighted that, talking about the giants, and like, now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they were born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. The holy watchers is referring to the 200 angels that basically were, I believe, kind of fell to lust of women walking the earth,
And they wanted to breed with them.
and wanted to breed with man's daughters, is how it describes it. And there's this really crazy phenomenon of like these huge crater indentions all over the world, estimated to be about 200 of them, that are just like unexplained. I don't know if you've seen.
Yeah, you say that, and I feel like I've heard that before, but you're just kind of reminding me.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull that up in a second. Some other ones that were on here. So it also mentions sirens in the Book of Enoch, which is mermaids.
Yes.
If you're not familiar with the term sirens, which is also an interesting thing on whether, mermaids are real or are they not real. And in here it says that chapter 19, it says, and Uriel said to me, Uriel being one of the 4 archangels, correct? It was Uriel, Gabriel, Michael.
He was the lead.
And
Yeah, I don't remember the other one.
I thought I had highlighted in here where it talked about the 4 of them, but perhaps I didn't. But anyway, chapter 19, it says, and Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand till the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. So yeah, it was I haven't looked as much into the sirens side of it. I do find it interesting that I think it was in Deuteronomy or one of them where it talks, I think it was King Og.
Okay.
Og, or one of the 2 kings that Moses and the Israelites destroyed. They were king of the Amorites, I think it was. I think it was him, but it talks about his synophagus, or his tomb, was made of complete iron and was 13 and a half feet long. his tomb was, and that was again one of the readings I highlighted it in here where it talks about his tomb, but it mentions in there that it was 13.5 feet long. It was super huge and nice. It made of complete cast iron.
Yeah.
Um, and then the conspiracies that they found bones of giants like in the Grand Canyon, and
Sure. Yeah.
some people say that you can walk the Grand Canyon all the way to Africa. That's like a huge,
Really?
yeah, that's another huge conspiracy I was getting into. Some people think that America was actually the land, I mean, because there was like all kinds of pyramids all across the United States, and supposedly you can walk through the Grand Canyon and it'll connect you to Africa.
Really?
Yeah, these are all just
Interesting. I've not heard that.
conspiracy. Yeah, a bunch of conspiracy stuff. Um, I don't know if I highlighted anything else that stuck out to me in here. And as often as I saw, I blessed always the Lord of glory, and I continue to bless the Lord of glory, who has wrought great and glorious wonders to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to his spirits and to men, that they might praise his work in all his creation, that they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands and bless him forever. I don't know why I highlighted that at that time, but yeah, it's super. Like I said, there's 4 books total in here. I've only read the first 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, the idea they came down and mated with women and created these giants that were then eating men and destroying men, and
Well, like Goliath was, so those were the Nephilim. So
Yeah.
like Goliath was speculated to have been a Nephilim. Um, a lot of these ancient rulers, the theory that I've heard is that a lot of the ancient rulers of the kings of civilizations were of like a Nephilim origin because they were given either superhuman strength, so people bowed down and worshiped them as gods. Things like Hercules. So like there's talks that like Hercules was probably a real man, or at least the idea stemmed from a real
Yeah.
man, which would have been a Nephilim.
Right.
It seems like it's a lot of Disney stuff too. So
yeah, yeah,
it's a whole nother thing. But yeah, some of these Greek gods, they could have been real people that walked the earth at one time, or at least there was a version of them that was real, that a lot of the myths came from. So I don't know. Yeah, all that really, it's intriguing.
This is some Wikipedia, but take it for what it is. It says that. Let me see if I can share this over here for everyone to see what I'm looking at. The list of impact structures, including impact craters on Earth, contains the majority of the 194 plus confirmed impact structures given in the Earth Impact Database as of 2024. So it said that 200 angels descended from heaven. It said they descended like lightning. They fell from the sky and hit the Earth. And then again, you can look at all of these huge different crater impacts all across the world. A lot of them weirdly being in like Australia and then like North America. And then like the northern parts, which is like really interesting that it's like close to Antarctica, if you wanted to get into some icefall stuff. So it's really interesting that a lot of these craters you're like seeing are like all up very close in the northern parts of all of these countries. And then again, strangely, like a lot in the southern part of Australia too, even one down here all the way in the South Pole. So some, say that the 194 confirmed craters were whenever the angels hit the ground and then mated with the children of the daughters of men on the earth and created these giants that, which, like I said, it's so. This has been like one of my hardest things with like just trying to get into like wrapping my mind around Christianity and like what all of it means to me and stuff. It's like there's so much stuff. Like whenever, to me, it's like the Book of Enoch again. Like I said, it doesn't sound that crazy.
Yeah.
If you really believe, because some of the stuff you read in the Bible is like more crazier than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more crazy than just some angels falling from heaven. There's way more intense stuff than that that's going on in there. So like, if you're gonna believe everything else, why wouldn't we? And I don't know I don't know when exactly they removed Enoch from the Bible. But yeah, it's like it seems like because it mentions that whenever he flooded the earth, that it doesn't say that it wiped out all of them.
Hmm.
It says that it wiped out a majority of them. So then
Yeah.
there's rumors that there's like that crazy. There's the stories from the veterans of Afghanistan that said that they came across that creature in that cave. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like this huge giant they stumbled across in this cave in Afghanistan. That
I mean, I've heard rumors that Nephilim, they like have still tried to breed with people, and that like that's how you get some of these superpowers in the world. Like your like ultra wealthy families, and they keep like that's the family secret.
you talking
Is
about
like
the bloodline,
yeah, the bloodline
the
stuff.
bloodline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like those kinds of things, or even like some of these super athletes, like the only reason they might have gotten to that point was because like maybe of some other other origins in their blood. I don't know. I I don't think it's extremely far fetched. If you're gonna believe in God and in the supernatural, like then it's not that far fetched. If you just completely eliminate, the supernatural aspect of the Bible, then sure, I think it sounds probably ridiculous and crazy. But I also don't think it's any more crazy than, asking someone the question that if you say you're a Christian, like, hey, do you believe God speaks to you? I don't think it's any more different. I don't think it's any crazier than that. Like, if someone's going to believe that God speaks to them, why couldn't there be other supernatural things going on? You
Right.
know, and I know God speaks to people. So I mean, I talk with God frequently. So
Yeah. That's yeah, that's sort of I think the my issue with which not really an issue, but where I think I was lacking in this connection of trying to like further my understanding of God and um Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and it seems like in America we've gotten like super hyper focused on just Jesus, which
mhm.
that makes sense. That's the Protestant kind of the sola scripta, the Bible, and we're just follow what Jesus says, and which is all great, and of course I think you should do. But for me, I felt like I didn't start to feel the fullness of it until I like got into the Holy Spirit,
Mhm.
like the full version of the
Yeah.
Godhead.
Well, the Bible says there's a Holy Spirit. It says that He's the teacher. So He's the one that's in this exploration of Christianity. He's the one giving you insight into this.
Mm.
He's the one teaching you through this process. Um,
Yeah, because without it, we would have no connection to any of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's kind of my thinking of it too. It's like without just Jesus doesn't work. At least not for me, and I hope that's not too much to say, but
sure.
it doesn't because we don't have Jesus right here in this
Mhm.
moment. Of course, God and I do believe is dwelling in everyone,
Mhm.
100%. He's in every single person. Um, but the reality is, we are humans, and we don't have Jesus Christ just like walking down the street
Yeah, yeah,
performing miracles, right? We
yeah.
we don't just get to like see that like some people got to. So
Correct.
like,
Because He passed that on to us. He
yeah,
says, "You go do this."
right. Yeah, it's no longer and I think that's where like my disconnect was coming from because I needed that like connection that I was missing. And then whenever I thought I would be getting into like this Holy Spirit sort of stuff, you kind of start to almost you get made to feel like you're walking this like I don't know, kind of like voodoo side of
Hmm.
religion for some weird reason. It's like once you start getting into like the miracles and the supernatural side of Christianity, it seems like a lot of people will get like
Yeah,
hesitant.
yeah.
And to me, I'm like, no, we need that
Hmm.
because if God just sent just Jesus, and not the Holy Spirit alone, it would have been for nothing. That's why the Holy Spirit had to proceed through Jesus to the people. And I just think without that, it just seems like there's just a lack of focus on the Holy Spirit side
Sure.
of it. And to me, I'm like, that's a big problem.
Yeah. I think that um, I think that you have people that can get caught in chasing just the supernatural, and their whole Christian walk becomes this unless there is a miraculous sign
Mm,
like you know someone's arm grows back, or what, their dead get raised. Like, if that doesn't follow, then they don't want it, and they miss out on the quiet relationship, daily conversation with God. I think that it'd be kind of like a marriage. Like, if a marriage was only based on, or your relationship just with your spouse was solely based on just all of the highs and not the daily kind of the mundane, like I'm sure, like with me and Haley, like I just enjoy being with my wife.
Sure.
Like, I'd hang out with her over anyone else.
Sure.
Like, people talk about, like, when they get married, they're like, I still want to hang out with my bros. Like, yeah, like I get it. Like, I get the thought of, like, you might miss your friend or like having a conversation with them, but like I would take hanging out with my wife over anyone else.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with God. We get in this, a lot of people chase that experience, and they chase these highs of, like, when they're in like some, emotion led worship service, and they're like, oh, I've got to feel him right now for it to be real. And they miss that, like, every day, just being with him teaching you learning about him,
Right.
you sharing your heart with him. And he already knows everything, but he still wants that relationship. He still
Definitely.
wants you to talk with him and pray and things like that. But does he move supernaturally? He absolutely does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's where a lot of, and that's I that one bugs me whenever someone that maybe doesn't believe or is not fully convinced, and yeah, they're always looking for, and that was me for a very long time. I was looking for that sign. I was looking for that one significant event to happen. I had made it multiple times trying to read the Bible before, and I never could make it more than just like a couple pages, because I was just like, every time I went to open it, I was like looking for that black and white line that proved me 100% that, like, this is real. And the reality is that line is not in there. You're not gonna find that one line. It's faith and works, right? You have to have, that's what I think. You have to have, faith is a huge one. And
Absolutely it is.
And it's a really hard thing for humans to do, to follow kind of blindly at first to something that they're really unfamiliar with. That's, at least it was for me. I was too stubborn for that, and I was too, like, hard-headed, and I can figure it out on my own, and I don't blindly, bow down to anyone. I had that kind of like arrogance about me. Yeah, and then I just like had this different realization where I was like, well, maybe I need to stop just expect. And then as I read more in the Bible and I start reading these stories about the rabbis and the Pharisees, them like mocking Jesus and telling him, if you're the Messiah, then do this or do that and all these things. And he just refused to do it because that's not how God works. Like, he'll give you the signs that you need, but not under some sort of test. Like, he's not a circus actor. Like, he doesn't perform whenever you tell him to.
Yeah.
Reading that put a lot of stuff on my heart, like, at ease. I was like, I think actually I'm kind of looking too hard. I think I'm too busy running, trying to figure it out, that maybe if I would just stop for a second and realize, like, actually God's like, right, he's been right there the whole time. I've just been running.
Yeah.
I think I've made this comment a couple times on here, but I keep going back to it because it's what stuck out the most. It was this guy yelling at Theo Vaughn, and he said, Theo, what you been up to, man? And he goes, I was just out here looking for the Lord, brother. And the guy said, Theo, he said, the Lord ain't lost, brother. And I went, oh, man, dude. That's so crazy. He said, the Lord ain't lost, brother. And I went, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He's not lost.
He's not.
He's actually been right there the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was me that's been running around like a madman with too much noise in my head, thinking that I had to, like, this was some sort of science project to make it work for me or something. In reality, I just had to, like, set the ego aside for a minute and read longer than, like, the first 5 pages.
Yeah. So Haley and I, we're doing some stuff at home, and we're filling out a thing, and part of that was it was asking the questions of like, tell us about your like spiritual walk, like before and after Christ.
Mm.
And and it's good to reflect back on that. Like, I have it had been a long time since I had really reflected on who I was prior and am now, because and I can look back and say, like, I have believed in Jesus for 25 years. Let's say I'm 33. 25 years I've believed in Jesus, but that like relationship and that change in my life,
Hmm.
it has been a gradual thing over time. Like, it was not like, it was almost like whenever I was a kid, I was kind of just led to believe because that's what the culture that I was raised in. Like, I was raised in church. My parents were Christians. Like, my friend group was like church group essentially. I
Hmm.
went to a Christian school, so like it was kind of always there. So it was like, oh yeah, this is normal.
Right.
But then, I was still, I was an angry kid. I had all the struggles. You get your first taste of like pornography in high school, and it's like that's a thing. Like, that's something you start to desire. So then, lust creeps in, and then you look at girls different, and then,
Mm.
you fast forward however many years, and it's like, oh, this is a real thing. Like, lust is a problem. I
Hmm.
shouldn't be looking at women this way.
Yeah.
It's never going to be healthy for my long-term relationship. In those realizations, and then getting into, well, this is something, this sin in my life, this anger or this lust or this, whatever, this is affecting my relationship with Christ. This is something that hurts the Lord's heart. And I can even remember a time in my life whenever, I really didn't care. Like, I
Right.
didn't really care what the Lord thought. Like, okay, if God's so real, like, God, just take this anger from me. And then I get mad the next day. I'm like, well, I guess God just
Yeah.
don't care about
Yeah.
my anger. And so it's just, but I can also remember a time whenever I surrounded myself with a group of men, and I'm like you get vulnerable when you're like, hey, this is what I struggle with. And these dudes are like, okay, let's work on this. And they really like put your butt to the fire.
Yeah.
And they hold you accountable in a manly way of, this isn't how men act. And they start to model Christ for you. And at
Mm.
that point, and this was in my, mid 20s, and I could always put on the church face. I knew a lot of the church facts. Like, I could fake it for people if I wanted to. But it wasn't until like I really had men surrounding me, um, and I got to the point to where this was a personal thing. Like, okay, I don't want to do this. Um, I don't want to do this because, not because the world looks at it as bad, or me being angry is mean. Like, this hurts God's heart whenever I do this.
Mm.
This is a relationship, just like with Haley. Like, I don't want to do something, mean to my wife, not because it's wrong to do it. Obviously it is. Like, if I punch my wife in the face, like, yes, that's a criminal act. That's bad to do. Everybody would probably say that's bad to do. But there's also the aspect of like, this hurts my wife, not just physically, but
Yeah.
it hurts her heart. And that is whenever it became like real to me, like, okay, whenever I, talk this way, or I belittle this person, or I get angry for this stupid thing, this is something, or you lust after a woman, like, this is something that hurts the heart of God. And that's when I think that my relationship with him really, it really began to expand, and it becomes this, all right, God, I want to get closer to you. I want to know you. I want to know about you. That's when things really begin to change for me.
Yeah. The importance on um the that understanding of hurting one's soul. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like now we're getting closer to God.
Hmm.
Now you're starting to see what Jesus was trying
Hmm.
to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Because again, we're these our bodies are just our costumes for the time being.
Sure.
That's just what we get to wear for the little bit that we're here. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Without with the body is nothing, right? It's whatever this is that's inside. That I think we've had this similar talk. And we've had this talk before I started to have more of the beliefs that I have now. Um, but like that moral code that
Mhm.
I think like we've talked about before, you know, it's the reason that just because you see someone that's weaker or smaller than you, you know, you don't just like attack those people. You know,
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
if
Yeah.
you like have this soul or anything that God instilled in you and you are open to that, I think as like a man, you should see those kinds of people and be more towards the feeling of like I would protect that person if I
Absolutely.
had to,
Yeah.
not in and this is like a, you know, a very basic way, but it's just like at that time, you know, you have two decisions. It's like, do you protect or are you like going to be an attacker?
Mhm.
And to me, it's like that's like the most simplest, like God and the devil, like that's what it is. It's this
Yeah.
moral, whatever that is that tells us all, you know, whenever you like open the door for someone and you know you say thank you and
Mhm.
like these kinds of things, like interacting and like being kind to one another and like
Yeah.
it's like now we're starting to get closer into like what Jesus was trying to tell. And I think the more you get back into like really early Christianity, you realize like Christianity wasn't a thing. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't Christianity. It wasn't Christianity was not a religion that you just like hopped into because it you know you enjoyed the scenery on Sunday mornings. Like it was a way to live in
Mhm.
harmony with
Yeah.
everyone that like would talking about, you know, this everlasting peace that we could have on earth
Yeah.
if we would all just be open to what Jesus was trying to tell us. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like it's not a it's not a religion. It's the probably the best way of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's like what is becoming more apparent to me. It's like it's not this religion talk nonsense is not where I think that's like keeping us divided. You know, it's like let's strip all the names like Christian, Islam, all of it. Let's strip all of it away and just look at like these Bibles that we have and let's
Sure.
read through them. It's like, what is the, you know, you apply the principles out of any of these books to our lives. Will our lives get better?
Sure.
And that is apparent, I think, in the Bible time and time again. There's
Yeah.
not something that in the Bible you read or a practice you may try to, you know, whether it's prayer. It says in the Bible the two fastest ways you can, you know, get closer to God and you can start today is fasting and prayer.
Yeah.
It's like the two easiest, most accessible things that you could do at this
Mhm.
very second to start to try to get closer to
Yep.
God. And you know, it's not applying these principles to your life. There's nothing in the Bible that you do you apply to your life and your life's going to get negatively
Yeah.
weighed.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
you know, it's like to me
You
that
might have to die of the flesh a little bit, but it's
yeah.
not long term. It's not a detriment to you.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
I think the
benefit.
more you level up, sort of, because I think that's kind of what like your walk with God is. I think we all kind of start at level zero,
Sure.
and your level one and my level one is not the same. But the idea is, you know, is to continuously, you're always kind of leveling up in this
Mhm.
relation. You're always trying to learn more and trying to get a little deeper, get a little closer. But just like on the face of it, like anyone that's not a believer, even if like again, take if you don't believe that Jesus rose from the dead, take that out of it for just for a second and just like again read through the book
Mhm.
and read through some of the stuff it's telling you,
Yeah.
apply it and think about it, and it's you know like you're not it's not gonna make your life take like a negative downfall,
Sure. Yeah.
you know. And to me, like that alone is something.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
if anything,
Yeah.
if you don't believe anything, like that's got to be something.
It is.
And if you're not even trying to spend your time at leveling up in life and advancing your knowledge and understanding and become a better person and do then like what are you even doing? Like why are you even here
Yeah.
in the first place? And again, it doesn't have to be Christianity. That's why it's like you know, I hate whenever I see this stuff of just like Christianity versus this or versus that. And to me, I'm like I don't know. It's I think you're missing it. I think it's
Yeah.
this wasn't a religion at the time. This, you know, it wasn't a come join this cult. It wasn't a no. It was like, do you want to live the best way that you can
Yeah.
live?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
I see where you're coming from.
That's
I'd just say, taking it a step further, in deepening that walk. I think whenever I began to think about, when Jesus when God sent Jesus, Jesus came here and he knew what his purpose was. I mean, he knew from the beginning that he was going to come here and he was giving his life, and he did it willingly. And
He had a beef with Peter about it a couple times.
Yeah.
Peter was not happy.
And I think about the perspective of that, he came, and I get torn, like, as a police officer, if I was, just out on the street and, someone pulls a gun on somebody and I see it happen, like, my natural instinct is to want to go put myself in front of that bullet to stop it from hitting someone. That's, you sign up to do that. Whether you're a veteran, a police officer, I would say just a man in general, like, you should have that protector mindset about you. But I think it's different if someone came to you and just said, hey, will you sacrifice yourself for this person over here? It'd be real easy, like, maybe put on the spot. I wouldn't say easy, but, getting put on the spot with a bunch of people watching you, hearing your answer, you'd probably be like, oh, I'm tough. I'll do it. That's the normal thing.
Right.
But if it was like closed room, you and your kids are sitting there with your spouse, and you, like, ask the dad, like, hey, this other person, you've never met them, they're in another country, like, will you die right now for them? They'd probably be like, no. And I think about Jesus, and he willingly did that, and he was doing that because it says God the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are one. It's the Trinity. He was doing that for his kids. And whenever I started having kids, that perspective really got to me of it's the love that I would have for like, there would never be a question whether or not I would get in front of a bullet for my children. Right. Whether you ask me in here, whether you ask me out there, whether you ask me in front of them, like, every time I'm going to choose to protect my children. Of course. No matter what. And that's the way that Jesus viewed us. Yeah. He viewed us as his kids, and he's got such a deep love for us, a naturally deep love, that he willingly went through probably the most torturous death that anyone could go through. And he did it willingly. And he came knowing that he was going to do this. Yeah. And just to clean up our mess. Like, we were just rotten and dirty, and he came to take care of that. Even knowing that some people were going to spit in his face and belittle him and be ungrateful for that, he still willingly did it.
Yeah, that's I like the sense of humor that you actually find in the Bible. That's one thing too that I think some people, whenever they think about God, they think of this, like, strict dictator of, like, no fun, or like, but like the more you kind of read this stuff, the more it is, there's just like there is a sense of humor amongst all of it. You can, and it says, our God is, he's a merciful God. You know, he's understanding. He's not, I can't think of the word, but he's not, he doesn't ask anything that's, he'd never ask you something that you aren't capable of. And that I really believe. I guess that's kind of the point I'm getting at, is like, he's not, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not, he's very understanding, I don't know. But I think people get this idea of this has to be this some sort of, like, really strict, like, control type of thing. And I kind of, in my mind, I kind of see, and it's not funny. I mean, we're talking about eternal greatness, but it's like a little bit comical. It's just like, we couldn't figure it out for so long that he eventually was just like, all right. Sure. Dude, like, can you imagine? And I'm trying to be better, because I get really frustrated whenever I feel like whenever I'm encountering, let's just say, lower IQ, I can get frustrated.
Sure, yeah.
I hate, it's just, some people can just be frustrating. And I think about them, and the more I read, I'm like, the frustration that he had to have felt, that he had to come down himself and be like, I can't even take it anymore. I can't imagine. Like, I get frustrated whenever someone doesn't get through the green light fast enough. And, for him to just watch All and like I said, it's so bizarre to me. Like I said, because the more you get into it, the more you realize again, there's nothing in that the Bible or God that Jesus talks about that's gonna like ruin your life.
No, not at all.
So it's like this it's really led me to believe that kind of anything that I mean, and that's what it says, anything against God is the Antichrist.
Mhm.
And I think we've used that term loosely for a really long time. And it's just kind of been tossed around and it doesn't really hold a lot of weight
Mhm.
anymore. Um and I think that's been another play on by the devil is that we can so freely just talk about things of the Antichrist and no one seems to bat an eye. Um, but in reality, yeah, it's like there's so many aspects of everyone's sitting around waiting for the Antichrist, and we just had talks not long ago about is it AI, and now I'm like starting to come around to the idea of like, no, wait, it's already here, it's
Mhm.
been here,
Like the Antichrist spirit.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like you can't have and you can't have one of anything without having the opposite effect.
Yeah.
That it doesn't work that way. You don't have good without evil. You don't have
Mhm.
evil without good because if you didn't, you would never know the difference.
Yep.
You can't have Christ without the Antichrist because then you wouldn't be able to know which one was which. And it's
Yeah.
very apparent by the actions. All you have to do is read and look, and you can just see
Yeah.
which one is
Pull up
which.
Facebook. You're going to see Antichrist spirits.
Everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
I got it. We had a text message exchange the other day where I was telling you, I don't hardly listen to music
Yeah.
because it gets on my nerves
Mhm.
to hear, and that's a really weird. I'm a big music person. I really like music, and now I'm like every time I hear it, it like makes my skin crawl.
Haley and I were talking just the other day about, you know, we throw around the term, especially like in church community, we throw around the term like, oh, well, we're just over spiritualizing that. And her and I were just having the discussion of like, are we, or have we just for so long under spiritualized things? Because back in Jesus's time, everything was spiritual.
Yeah,
Everything, even before Jesus was walking the earth, if you're looking at like the laws of Moses and things like that, like those people, like what was it when Moses went up to the
Sinai.
mount, yeah, Mount Sinai, and Aaron was left down with the people got bored, so they built a calf out of gold and just began to worship it, like
40 days.
yeah.
It took 40 days. Knowing that Moses was talking to God himself.
Yeah.
It's not like he was on vacation and we were waiting for him to
They're
get
like,
back.
we're bored.
He didn't hop on a plane to
So-
Bora Bora and
Yeah.
we're just waiting on the return when it'll come back with his suntan kissed skin and like no, he's talking to the one himself.
Yes.
And you couldn't make it 40 days
Yeah.
before you had to just start.
So, and we think we over spiritualize things, thinking like maybe the Taylor Swift song is demonic or it's not demonic. I don't know. Like we get into those kinds of discussions, and we're like, oh, you're just over spiritualizing. I'm like, am I?
Yeah.
Am I over spiritualizing this, or should we view things, everything that we do spiritually? And I think that's the direction that we're kind of like, what's it look like to fully rely on God, for everything?
Mm-hmm.
If God, and we talk about money, like what would it be? I fully believe that God speaks to people. And I've asked myself the question, thankfully God's never done it, but if he was like, hey, I need you to drain your bank account in order to put it towards this, mission. And I don't think very often God would be like, you drain all your money to give to this one person.
Right.
Or give all of it to the church building. I don't think that's really how it happens a lot of times. I think that it's more like when you hear the stories of people that have given extremely large sums of money whenever it was most of their money to something, it was more of there was a big need that needed to be filled, and they were filling a need, or towards a mission of some sort.
Right.
But if God asked me to drain my bank account, I'm gonna have every argument in the book.
Yeah.
I gotta feed my wife and kids.
Right.
But what happens if you are obedient and he turns around and he brings in someone else that is gonna bless you or brings you a better job or whatever. I'm not under the opinion that could God drop a gold bar out of heaven? Sure. Is he probably gonna do that?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
I think that it's the if you don't work, you don't eat statement is very biblically true.
Yeah.
He wants us to, he literally put people in the Garden of Eden to work. So these men that want to sit around and just be lazy and take crap from the government and have everyone give them handouts, I don't have time for you, bud.
Right.
I'll love you and I'll try to help you, but we're gonna have some hard talks in there.
Yeah.
We were created to work.
Hmm.
So I don't remember where I was going off with some of that, but yeah, the yeah,
Well, it's like
lost my train of thought.
well, we're just talking spirituality, and I think
Over-spiritualizing
we're
things.
under
Yeah,
this
yeah.
spiritual awakening
Hmm.
in the, especially in the United States. It seems like it's a very hot topic.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just read another book called The Bible and the Seven Chakras,
Okay.
and they say your chakras are. I don't know how familiar you are with this.
None.
The chakras, they said, are like there's seven of them. They're your energy centers. There's seven energy centers that range from, basically they go up your spine, one starting at the very base of your spine, maybe even lower than that. And then there's seven of them that go up and they come up, and then like just say your third eye.
Okay.
That's your third chakra.
Okay.
And then you have your second one, which is your the top of your head. Then you have your crown chakra, which is the number one. That's whenever you've elevated supposedly through all your chakras, you've whatever. But it was talking about in this book frequencies.
Hmm.
And how we're all kind of a frequency, like that's
Sure.
sort of we all have this electromagnetic field, like
Sure,
this.
yeah.
It's not debated. This is, if you believe,
Yeah, I believe that.
any sort
Yeah.
of science, we all put off this electric voltage, very minimal, but we all have it inside of us. They've been doing those studies where they're tracking people whenever they die, and they're actually following it leave their body, and then like picking up this frequency like outside of their body. Very,
No kidding.
very bizarre stuff. Yeah, they can actually measure at the exact time that your body, basically someone, like the breaker turns off
Huh.
and the voltage leaves, and they can actually see, like, measure when that happens.
Interesting.
And so then they're trying to like follow your energy and see, and like it's very, very wild stuff. But the frequency stuff is the idea. And so like a lot of people they say they don't ever get past your second one, because your second one is the one that is like your private area. It's your sexual chakra. It's the lust. It's
Yeah.
all these things. And a lot of people don't ever elevate past that in the world that we're in. It ties into the whole, like not masturbating and not,
Sure.
not sleeping around, and not just, spilling your seed. Your seed is the seed of life. And,
Yeah.
God says you're not supposed to. There's literally a whole book on it in
Mhm.
Genesis about only discharging your seed for the means of reproduction,
Sure.
and not just wasting your semen just
Sure.
however you please. Because your semen, essentially, like in a male, it's like your life force. That's why a lot of fighters, you'll see, they're like, they're like, no sex so many days before the fight. A lot of athletes, the night before a fight, like no sex, none of that. It's
No kidding.
Yeah, it's to build up this whatever this energy is.
Huh.
So this seven chakras thing explains it. And so that was an interesting one, the sexual one, I thought, and the reason we're so tied into pornography and masturbation, and it's why none of us can actually get to this, like, the whole point is become more God conscious, right? Become more God like, and we can never. A lot of people struggle so hard to get there because
Sure.
we're just pushed all this lust. So you can't get past your second chakra. There's another one that they talk about, and it's in relation to your frequency and sound and colors, and the way your body reacts to certain sounds and colors. And what is it, the God frequency is like, I can't remember what the God frequency is, but then there's like a certain hertz that they can play music at.
Yeah.
They can tune music to 432 hertz. It's like you can't record it. You cannot record music in 430 hertz, but you can go afterwards and tune it up to 4. And if you've ever listened, you can find songs that have been tuned to 432 hertz and listen to them. It's kind of weird. Like the last ultra I ran, I listened to only 432 hertz songs the whole time.
Really?
Yeah. And I know this is like getting into that kind of that part where a lot of Christians are like, yeah, you're getting there.
Sure.
But again, I think it's all important, and it gets into the colors and how there's certain colors that elevate. So that your lowest level chakra is the color red.
Okay.
And then as it goes up, it's like orange, yellow, and then they get like blue, and they get lighter. And it said that red is to keep your frequency low, is to dull you.
Okay.
Well, then I'm driving through town and I'm looking around. McDonald's, Arby's,
Huh.
Casey's, all these junk stores, just red all over the place. And then it's like, then you read in the Bible, it talks about indulgences are the sin. Like, it's not food, it's not alcohol, it's the indulgences of these things. We should fast. We should not be indulging in all these foods. It's like, well, now I'm going, how strange, all these fast food joints that just have shit in their food and they're like all red and it's all, and like, so in the back, I'm like, every time I drive through town, I'm like, I'm just like in this spiritual thinking now. Every time I leave the house, and like, dude, I swear I leave the house and I feel like I need to get some armor on every time I leave. I'm like, dude, it sucks out here.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
Dude,
I get it.
I wake up every morning and I spend 2 hours in here reading and I don't want to leave. Like, I would spend all day right here in this chair just reading and just like, I don't want to go out there. And it sucks. I'm like,
we gotta go make money.
Yeah, well then I'm like, I know, but then I'm supposed to go talk more about God, and I'm supposed to be out there doing this stuff, and I'm like, Jesus, but it's scary out there, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's everywhere. And that's what I told you in that text. I was like, dude, I can't hardly listen to music. Like, anytime I see these colors on these things, I'm like, there it is. I'm like, there's Satan himself. Like, I hear these songs come on, and it's like this piercing noise that, like, literally, I'm like smashing the radio volume, like, turn that off. I don't even want to hear it. Like, I need silence.
Yep.
Like, and I'm like, dude.
I talked to our youth group about something similar, to being in silence. I spoke a few weeks ago at our youth group and this is like kids like, 13 to, maybe 15 was the age group. Maybe a little bit younger than that. But anyway, I talked a lot about, a lot of them, they only feel like they can connect with God if it's that emotional, like loud music's got to be playing. Like they can't read their Bible without having the music going, even if it's, Christian music. And I'm not saying like it's bad music at all, but just like they can't sit in silence. There's this opposition to silence that they're programmed to. And a lot of it has to do with them just sitting there staring at their phones all day. They're programmed not to want to be in silence. And I think that so many of us, we miss things God wants to share with us because we won't sit down and shut up. I think we sit there and we'll pray like, God, I ask you to teach me this. Help me to be better with this. Lord, I love you. Whatever the prayer life looks like. And we were all chasing purpose, and we're all asking the question like, God, what do you want from me? What's my purpose? Things like that, my identity. And a lot of times I think God's sitting there going, dude, shut up for a second. Yeah. Stop talking. Turn your music off. No, don't turn it up. Turn it down. Yeah. Don't turn it up. Turn it down. Quit talking for a minute.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Toss it out the window.
Yeah. And just listen to me for a minute. Like, I want to share something with you. Like, if my wife wanted to share something with me and I was always just yapping, even if I was saying good stuff, like, and I was always yapping, eventually she's going to go, Zach, shut up. I need to tell you something. I've got something for you. Zach, shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to be better about this, about not, I've developed in like doing this podcasting stuff. I feel like I always have to have a response.
Sure.
And I don't think that's all the time healthy. I think it's, we should do better about listening and not listening with an intent to respond, but just listening to listen.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will say stuff to you, and I've had people that, since I've opened up about some of my journey of the past, and, people that have reached out and shared their stories with me. And at first I felt really pulled to relate. And I was listening to this interview with AJ Gentile on the Sean Ryan show, and AJ Gentile said that he said, stop trying to relate to everyone. That's what he learned. A lot of times the people don't want you to relate. They don't need to know that you've been through it too. Yeah. It doesn't help. Like, if I'm going through the worst time in my life, like, you telling me that you've been through it too, like,
doesn't help me.
Yeah, it doesn't fix my problem. Yeah. Now I just know that we're both having a hell of a time. Like,
exactly.
It's listening with the intent to just listen. And whenever people want that response from you, they'll ask. Mm-hmm. Whenever they want the opinion, they'll ask. It'll be known. I think a lot of times, yeah, the same thing kind of with God. Um, kind of how I was referencing how I used to read the Bible with like, where are you? Where are you? Where
Yes.
are you? Instead of
Yes.
just reading it and just letting it just tell me what it's gonna
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah.
Just like you do with any other book that you pick up and read. You just read what it tells you instead of you don't make your opinions first and then go read the book. Like you read the book first and then you make your
Yes.
opinions as they go
Absolutely.
on. Tying back to that microwave society, it's all. And again, now this is my view. To me, it's all antichrist. It seems like it's like everything is being made in a way to like take us from that silence,
Sure.
to take us away from
Steal
that.
the attention.
Yeah, it's in the quiet. So that's where you'll find God. It's not in the noise. It's in the quiet. That's where you'll find him. And the more that I've like gotten into this kind of thinking, I'm like, yeah, it's all around us. We're waiting for something that's already here, and the devil has done such a good job that he's got everyone fooled thinking that like we're still waiting for something. And it's like, no, we're under attack. We've been under attack for a long time. For 2,000 years, we've been under attack. Like it'd been everything that they can do to pull you away from like your whole point of being here, and then flash money and watches and cars and whatever else in front of your face, and models and bathing suits that you can just go look at anytime, or just porn that you can just you literally have the biggest porn dictionary in your pocket at all times. Like all of that is satanic. What we're waiting for is happened, I think.
And they're after kids. Like they are after. I mean, if you can start them out young. So I mean, pornography. You know what I do for a living? Sex crimes against kids. We get a lot of reports of kids perpetrating on other kids. So you take 2 8-year-olds that are perpetrating on each other, or 2 7-year-olds. That's not going to become a criminal issue. Like that's not that kid. They don't need to go to jail. Like jail's not the place for a 7-year-old. That's a parenting problem, and you're never going to convince me that it's not. But we've dumped so many kids' phones over the past. I mean, I've been doing this now for coming up on 4 years. We've dumped so many phones, and I'll say this with certainty that almost all of the kids' phones that we dump when they are perpetrating on each other stems. I'll say this: they all have a significant almost all of them have a significant pornography usage on their phone. I believe that sparks them to be doing things at that age that they shouldn't even know about at that age.
Definitely.
Like, I was more worried about, playing basketball at 8 years old, or chasing my dog around the backyard than I didn't even know what pornography was at 8.
Yeah.
And we have kids now that are messing with each other at that age. It's so bizarre. It's so accessible. At 4 years old, people many times are putting phones in their kids' laps and letting them use them willy-nilly. I have a 13-year-old that still doesn't have a phone, and she begs every day for one.
All right.
You ain't getting one until you're driving. Like, that's been my opinion. Like, when you turn 16, like, I'll get you a phone that you can take with you.
Right.
You have a need for it at that point.
Right.
But apart from that, like, it's not well, they're going to be behind the times. Good. Let them be behind the times.
Yeah, but like, are they though? What does that even mean?
Their
like,
mind
what do you mean?
expands. So they're behind the times in terms of like
in
what
terms
the world
of who?
says, technology.
In terms of you? Like
Yes.
who?
Yes.
Based off of who?
Yes.
Like that's the silliest.
It is. But it's so accessible. It's in our music. I mean, I have all kinds of opinions on Taylor Swift. I know I'm picking on her today, but like her music is pornographic in nature. Certain rappers, Lil Wayne's music, it is pornographic in nature.
Yeah.
Read the lyrics to the song WAP.
Right.
I mean, that's pornography written.
Yeah.
It's smut.
Yeah.
Like if a spouse was reading those smut books, most husbands aren't just like, oh yeah, I'm glad my wife reads that stuff. No, it demasculates the man because one, we're presenting something that he can never live up to. So then you have this issue now with the spouse reading this, that she thinks my man should act this way, and that's not real life. It's the same with men watching pornography, and then expecting their wife to perform that way in the bedroom. It's never going to happen that way.
Yeah.
That's not what sex is. And
Yeah.
what happens with kids is they get this idea even from either smut novels or books that they've read in school, or even just something like, you know, your 13-year-olds now are watching movies like The Notebook. That was like the love story of my
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
You watch The Notebook and you're like, that's how love should be. This, you know, they have sex for the first time and it's this magical experience. Nah, it's weird and uncomfortable. Like, it's this awkward dance that you're supposed to do with your spouse one day, and then you learn each other. Like, sex is something that you learn over time with each other, not try on 12 different suits. Or shoot, I watch on freaking Reels, there's this, I don't know what the podcast name is, but this guy, they just interview like porn stars essentially, and they're like I would probably put them in the category of more moral men, and they're interviewing these porn stars, and they're like, they'll talk about a body count and like how horrendous that is, and these women are like, you know, I've got 250 men under me, and I'm like that's a bragging right to them, like,
Yeah.
male or female, that's nothing to brag about. Like, that's poor future spouse of yours.
Yeah.
You know, you've been tricked into this idea that
Yeah.
you've got all this experience, and gosh darn, that's scary.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, and those will be the same women one day that are talking about like, no man wants me, and
Yeah.
you know, those are the women that you'll hear online spouting
Yes.
off about, you know, there's no good men out there in the world still
Sure.
that they can't find.
So, like, I can say with certainty, so like I was never, I'm not going to say I was like the perfect kid or, you know, done things perfect in terms of like sexual purity or lust or anything like that. But dude, I've only ever been with my wife. And that, being able to tell my wife, like, especially when we got engaged, like, hey, like, you're going to be the only person that I'm ever going to be with. I mean, that's huge. That's huge to a woman, like,
Yeah.
to be able to tell them that. And then again, I don't have the comparison of, well, how does this hold up to whatever? Like, dude, I love my wife.
Right.
Like, I gave her this part of me. I love her. I love trying new things with her. I love doing this with her.
Right.
Like, that's something just between me and her. So
That's what marriage is for. I've been listening
Yeah.
to lots of Father Josiah. He's an Orthodox priest, and he's got a lot of good stuff on marriage. And because Orthodox priests can marry, and he's got like 4 kids, and he was describing in a reflection that I was listening to of his about how basically how lust, how overpowering it is, and how
yeah,
you know, it's you can't even, it's so hard to even like go out in public without, you know, this stuff just being thrown in your face no matter what it is. Like, it's just on every corner. Everything you see is some sort of like sexual charisma to it. Everything. And that was the whole point of marriage, and that's why it's so sacred. That's why it was one of the 10 commandments, you know, to not cheat on your spouse. And marriage is supposed to be your sort of steam valve
yeah,
for that lust.
yep,
You know, it shouldn't be the other way around. And I think that's important. And I think there's 2 sides to that. You know, I think that you should have a partner that understands that. And where you see, you know, a lot of couples will have issues where it's like the thing you see online about, you know, the wife doesn't want to have sex. You know, it's like, oh, when's the last time you had sex? And I'm married, you know, one of those things.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
and that sucks.
yeah.
Um,
That should be something that, I mean, the Bible's clear. Like, if one of you, like, essentially it says, like, hey, if one of you are in the mood and the other's not, like, you should go ahead and do it so this person doesn't burn with lust, essentially.
Right. Yeah, and that's a really hard one. I think especially with maybe women on the side of Christianity is a little bit tougher than this modern idea
Yeah.
that we've
Yeah.
portrayed women, especially in this Western civilization. Being a godly woman is tough.
Sure.
You know,
And that doesn't mean you just, as a man, you're like, hey, honey, right now we're going to the, like, it's not just a,
Sure.
you're subservient, so now you have to bow to my every,
Exactly.
desire because I'm feeling the mood right now. Like, there's different times of the month. Like, there's
Right.
all of that to factor in as well. Like,
You should have a little control too, okay? This isn't like
you should.
like,
This isn't
you
just
don't
men
get
just
to run around like a caveman all the time and just act barbaric however you
Yes,
feel,
yes.
just because the Bible told me so. No,
absolutely.
yeah, there's you're still supposed to be a man of God. Like this doesn't just open you up to just pleasure just at your whenever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there should be that sort of that understanding. Not that that gives you a right to go cheat on your spouse. But again, marriage in the eyes of God and the way that it should be, this unity.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't even. I feel like it should be stuff that you want to do. There should
Yeah.
be all of this stuff that we're kind of talking about that seems like maybe to some people like rules or this or that. To me, it's just kind of like I think it's just kind of like how we should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I don't view any of this stuff like as rules or like as.
Sure.
I remember being that way and like I used to think that way, but now it's like no. I think this is just like.
He put in precautions to protect us from something. There's a reason that he says don't do these things.
Right.
I mean, it's just like with my kids, like raising my kids. I don't tell them, don't stick your finger in the fireplace because I don't like you. Like, I don't want you to stick your finger in the fireplace because you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Like, I know what happens. My almost 3-year-old, obviously she's never stuck her hand in a fire. But I'm going to tell her not to. I don't want her to experience that in the first place. I know what happens on the other side of that. Not from experience. I've never put my hand in a fire because my parents told me not to.
Right.
But I don't want her to learn. I don't want her to try that and just be like, oh, learn the hard way. There's lots of things like don't run out in the middle of the road. Like there's a reason for that. Don't walk up to that wild cow out there in the field that's a bull. Like he could hurt you. Like
right.
There's a reason. I know he looks cute out there, but if you go out there, he's going to probably kill you.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that it seemed like that's been even like going back to the idea of like you were kind of saying where it's not he did these things weren't just he told these things are for a reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was just like, oh, I wonder like what way I can just dictate all these people's lives.
Sure.
It's like, no, these types of discussions are tough because it's like you have to like think of the whole picture. Mm-hmm. You have to remember that this isn't the end. The death is not the end of life. Mm-hmm. It's just a part of it.
Yeah. And
I don't really know what that even means whenever I say it, but I believe it.
Sure. Yeah.
I do believe that this is not the end. I do think that there's something else that is going on because it just doesn't make any sense for us to just like be here for 75 years, 80 years, and like then you just die in this darkness. It's like,
yeah, no,
that just seems completely silly to me. So it's like there has to be something else past this, and that thought alone, I think, should be enough for most people to be like, hey, maybe I should check into this. Maybe I should open the Bible one time and just like give it a good faith, honest read. Yeah. Like, don't go into it with my own opinions, but just like good faith, open mind. What does this mean? And yeah, I think, like I say, because I think this very short time is just, it's going to be over quick. And I think a lot of people, there's going to be a time whenever they realize like, oh shit.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There was something else.
Yes.
I don't like, even if that's your only point to like being a Christian, like it even like I've listened to multiple different preachers have talked about like even that alone, like there's kind of 3 stages of being a Christian, and the bottom one is, it's the lowest level of being a Christian, but just basically being fear of the whip is how he described it. Like that's your lowest level of Christianity. It's just your people that they don't really know if they believe fully in everything else, but they do know they're scared of death and they're scared of what's going to happen after that. So that alone is like, okay, I believe in something.
Yes.
And it's not maybe the best route to go about it, but it is still accepted as, that's you can be a Christian and kind of
Sure.
have those beliefs. Um, and maybe just because I'm just starting to have my eyes open to some of it, but it just like makes me worry for other people because I'm like, now that I'm starting to see this stuff, and me, who like, if there was anyone that God was going to save last, like I'm up on the list for that.
Sure.
Like you can put my name in every list for that. And like, if even, I can have my eyes kind of open to this, it's like I see some of these other people and I'm like, dude, I really, I think there's something else that we're missing here.
Yeah.
And it makes me nervous because I think it's for everyone.
Yes.
It's not
And we should get motivated to go after people, like to be able to talk to people about this. And I think if you approach people from the mindset of they're just a project, it'll turn them off. I think if you approach them from like, hey man, like I'm befriending you because like I think you're going to hell, and Jesus doesn't want you to go to hell. They're gonna be like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
you're not doing it for the right reason. But I think when you let God change your heart and you see people, so I think it's Mathew 9 where it talks about the harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So right before that, he talks about, Jesus looked on the people with compassion, is what it says. And I don't remember what the exact verse is. And I think it's Matthew 9. I think.
I'll pull it up while you're talking.
But it says he looked on the people with compassion. And one of the prayers that I have prayed is, Jesus, I want your eyes. Like, I want the eyes that you have so I can see people the way that you see them. Because, again, as a cop, like, I can look at these child molesters or these drug addicts and be like, you're trash. Like,
Sure.
And that's honestly, like, that's a lot of cop lingo is like, oh, they're just a turd. Like, it's just a repeat offender. Like, they're always like that. But I've really tried to get that mindset of Jesus. I want to see them the way that you see them, and you open yourself up to this place of I can view them with love, and I want to tell this person, or I want to love on this person simply because I want them to see the love of Christ, because I want them to come to know Him, because I don't want them to burn for eternity in hell. I think it's the end of Matthew 9. I don't know that for sure, but I think it is.
Do you think that true Christians can walk away from God and come back?
So that's a great debate. That's
like-
kind of like the Calvinist versus Arminian debate.
Yeah, it's
well, maybe you were never a Christian in the first place.
Right.
I don't have a solid answer on that. I guess my personal thought would be, yes, I think you could. But I think the Calvinist view is that you can't. You just were never a Christian in the first place, but they also believe like God like pre-planned people to be saved and other people not to be saved, and I don't buy into that.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
I don't think that it's a God. I don't think there's love involved in that.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of like as far as when we're talking about baptism and that kind of stuff. I like the Orthodox take on it is they have, there's not, baptism is not, you don't undergo baptism and then you're just with God forever. It's not like a one-time thing that you get and now you just have it. It's an ever, it's every day. Mm-hmm. It's an everlasting, walk with God. And it's the Orthodox belief of like, even if you ask an Orthodox priest, like, are you going to heaven? They'll tell you, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. Sure. That's way above what I know. And that, I like the idea of that this is, and I think the reason maybe that it appeals to me is because if it wasn't this everlasting thing, I would be in trouble.
Sure.
As would probably everybody. That's why the idea of like, there's this one-time thing that can happen and then you're just like good after that. And I'm like,
yeah, I checked the box. I'm good. I can go live my own life now. Like if you think of it like a graph, like I don't think that there's this line of like, here's salvation. Like if you fall below that, you're not saved, but you come back up above it. Like now you're saved again. Yeah. You fall below the line. Like I don't think of it that way. Cause I know like my walk, like I said, like believed in God for a very, very long time. But if you look at it from a sin perspective, like there's been times like I lived in sin. Like I'd consider that I fell below the mark.
Right.
There's been times where like I've really loved Jesus a lot and, I'm above the line and then I fell below, like, but it's been my trend has been upward over time, and my relationship with Christ has evolved, and it's far deeper than, 18-year-old Zach's, relationship with Christ. And there's again different life events that show you a new aspect of Christ. Like when I got married, that was a new aspect that I begin to learn about Christ. Whenever I begin to see my wife perspective of things, like that's a new thing for me. Whenever I had kids, that was a new element of I feel like an expression of love like I had never known before. Well, that's an attribute of God, feeling all of those things. So I think that my walk has definitely increased over time, but that doesn't mean that there's not ups and downs. Like I could go home tonight and get mad at my wife over something stupid, and then come out the next morning and be like, "I'm sorry, I was a jackwagon. My bad."
Right. Yeah. That. Yeah. Like I said, maybe it just appeals to me more because, like I said, if it was just like one time cut and dry type of thing, I'm out probably.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
We're all out actually,
Sure.
if that's the case.
Well, and there's a joke that I heard one time that there's like you're never going to meet a Calvinist that wasn't chosen. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to meet a Calvinist that wasn't predestined themselves. So they're all predestined. They all,
of course,
and
makes sense.
I've got lots of Calvinist friends, and I love her. I've got a cousin that I try not to debate things on Facebook, and if I do it. I feel like I truly do it kindly. But they posted something, and they posted something spiritual. I posted kind of a response back, and then she responded with this. It sounded so eloquent, and it was just kind of repeating different phrases from all over the place and illustrations. And I told Haley, I'm like, that is one giant word salad that I just don't really agree with. But people read that, and it sounds like 1800s, and you're like, oh, that's got to be God. Like, it sounds like it was from the 1800s. Like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, what meaning was there really behind that? Like, there wasn't much meaning.
Right.
So love them, and I can still I could go today, sit down with her and her husband, and I love them to pieces. My kids, I'll let them hang out with each other. Like we're involved in stuff with them, but we just don't agree on some of that specific stuff. But as a matter of salvation, we agree on it. Like as far as how do you get to heaven? Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and you will be saved. Did he die? Did he die and then raised from the dead? Yes. Like if we're on the same page with that, like we can get into these, and I think that this is what divides churches so much. We want to get into these stupid debates on, well, can women wear pants? Is that a matter of salvation? No. Do we speak in tongues or do we not? Did prophecy die with the Old Testament? Is like demonic presence, like casting out demons, is that a real thing? Like I get there's a place for that, and like you and I could sit there and discuss that, and I think have great conversation on it. But if it's simply like if it's something where it's someone that is easily offended, or church bodies that are gonna just, well, we're not going to have our church luncheon with you because you believe this over here that women shouldn't wear pants. Like our women wear pants. We're not going to associate. Get over yourself. Like we're the body of Christ. We've got a world that needs us. We need a community that needs to come together. That's why I told you about community at the beginning. Like we want community so bad. I want to see in White County, Illinois, I want to see the churches coming together and these head pastors that want to squabble over BS. Like it's so stupid. And they're like, what are we squabbling over? Well, there was this thing like 10 years ago where he said this or she said that. I'm like, yeah, we got a lot of people that need Jesus.
You're right.
We got people that are hungry right now. You want to get together and let's all feed them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we can do it with that church up there because they don't believe the way that they're Baptist and we're Methodist, or they're Presbyterian, or this over here, they're non-denominational.
Yeah.
Are we all going to go love people?
Right.
Like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
We can work together as a team.
Yeah. Can I ask,
really irks me.
Which denomination are you?
I am non-denominational.
Non.
Like I am not down with the denomination stuff.
Yeah.
Like I look at the church as the church. Like the biblical term for the church is the ecclesia. Like we are the church. Like if you go to church in Evansville, it doesn't mean you're not a part of my church. Like, we're brothers in Christ.
Yeah.
Like, that woman over there, she goes to the church over in Harrisburg, Illinois. I don't care. Like, cool, we're brother and sister in Christ.
Right.
Like, I get some people think that theirs is the only way. I ain't down with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been like just in the list of things I've been going through. I started out not really knowing that Orthodox even really existed. I always just thought Orthodox meant just like, that is what Orthodox means, is universal. But I didn't know that like Orthodox Christianity was like its own sector. And so at first I was like into all these different Protestant denominations, and I'm just like, you should have saw me for probably 2 weeks. I was a madman, dude. If I was back here, I would read. I had this pulled up. I was Googling, looking stuff up on my phone, watching a YouTube video while I'm trying to read an article about something else. And then I would have to like get up and I'd go in there and turn on a YouTube podcast of like people debating. And I'm like, okay, what do I believe here? I was everywhere. And that's what I was like, okay, it shouldn't be this hard, I don't think.
Yeah.
And that's where I got down to the basic thinking of just like, timeout. Whenever Jesus was here, there was just one. Like, there had to be. Like,
didn't have Baptists back then.
Yeah, the Protestant Reformation coming around in 1600. To me, that was a turnoff right off the bat. I'm like, okay, now I'm nervous. You're 1600s away from Jesus. I need to be a little, like, you're closer to me than you are to him. I'm like, I need to be a little closer because you're still, like, these divisions. I'm like, I know that Jesus didn't leave it with 200 denominations and everyone fighting. I know it didn't get left like that. There's no way, right? Like, there had to be something that, like, an original place that this started. And then it narrows down. And I was like, okay, it narrowed down to, then that's whenever I found Orthodoxy, which, like, there's one Orthodox church in Evansville within 100 miles of here. It's the only one. The closest, next, I think in Louisville is like the next closest one. You know, it's Eastern Orthodoxy. It's very, we're not used to what it looks like at a Western standpoint. It looks very Eastern.
Yeah.
And then Catholicism. I was like, okay. So I kind of ruled out Protestantism. I was like, okay, well, it seems like these two were here first. So now I'm like, at least I've got it narrowed down to this.
Sure.
And that's just like, you didn't narrow down anything. You just made it even harder, really, at the end of the day. But I was like, okay, at the very least, I feel like I have it narrowed down to these two. Like, these two had to be onto something.
Sure.
Like, they're the only ones that are dating all the way back to the times of the apostles. Like, and that's another thing that came to mind too. Like you said, the church being such a big deal. And I think it is such a big deal. And because whenever Jesus left, he didn't leave a book. He didn't leave, he didn't leave anything. He left the church. That was it. It was, a couple hundred years later that we first got the New Testament. Like, there was no denominations. Like, there was just, and again, it wasn't even Christianity. I think it was, what did they call it? They were not I want to say The Chosen, but that's just that TV show. It's not The Chosen.
Yeah.
But it was something else is what, if you followed this teaching, that's what you were called. It wasn't Christianity. It wasn't Presbyterian, Methodist. It was just like, it was one, I'll look it up in a second. But, so that's what like led my path to Orthodoxy, was like all of these confusing stuff of people debating on all of these topics. I'm like, there had to be, I was like, Jesus didn't just leave it this confused. Like, I don't believe that. There had to be like some sort of more basic structure of like this. Like I said, because we didn't have, again, in the King James version of the Bible, there's a lot of books removed and whatever anyone's opinion is on that, that's not the point. But I'm just like, that makes me nervous.
Sure.
I'm like, who are we, some white guy in 1600, to be like, no, I don't like those.
Yeah.
I'm like, says who?
Yeah.
Like,
I've asked the same questions.
Like, it'd be like me just like picking up this Bible and like telling all of the people that believe it, just like, hey, I think we should remove these 8.
Yeah.
Just take them out.
Yeah.
And it's like I would be surprised if people didn't want to hang me from a tree. Like,
right.
Who are you?
Let's go get rid of Mathew and see how that flies up.
Like, what gives you the right, to like, right off the bat, that was, and I think a lot of people probably have that. To me, I was telling people, and that's what I think it was. I think everyone undergoes this wrestling with God. I think that's what I was in for about a month. I think I was in this like Because it wasn't turning me off. It was just lighting me more on fire inside, that I was like, again, just like going nuts. Briley was probably pissed. I was like not speaking for like days on end because I'm just so into all of this. My phone, books, just not even. I don't have anything to say because my mind is just not in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, until I figure this out, I can't do anything else. Like
Yeah.
it's literally shutting me down mentally right now. And I went through that for like a month, and that's what I think that was my wrestling with God. I had that time where it was like,
Yeah.
okay, you're starting to ask the right questions. Now
Yeah.
you're yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Matthew
All right, we're
9.
back. Sorry about that. Quick. Yeah, let's read this verse in Matthew real quick. Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah. Let me see.
Matthew 9.
37-ish.
Matthew 9:37-ish.
Yeah.
Verse
36.
Verse 36. It says, we'll start at 35. This says workers for the harvest. Yeah, Matthew 9, verse 35. It says, Then Jesus went throughout all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every kind of disease and sickness. 936. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were bewildered and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest.
So yeah, I think getting into that, just asking God, like, hey, give me your eyes. Like, I want to
Yeah.
see people how you see them, because I can see the junk. Like,
Yeah.
Zach can see the junk. Zach's a jaded cop. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Right.
But if you look through the lens of Christ, it spurred his heart to have compassion for them. And I want to see people that way. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to see. I think it's fine to see the junk, but not, immediately like letting that be like our opinion of them because of their junk. But have compassion on them, and then it moves you to pray. It moves you to do something in order to take action for them. So
Yeah, another verse out of Matthew that I had highlighted was right before this, in 9:13, kind of touching on. It says, "Go and learn what this saying means. I want mercy and not sacrifice, for I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners." And that's like kind of regurgitated a couple times. He
It is.
makes it very clear to people that he was not here for anyone that thinks they're righteous. He was not here just because you have wealth. It was the people that you're probably looking down upon in your daily life. It was the people that you see struggle in ways that maybe you don't have to struggle, but yet you want to act like you don't have struggles of your own just
Yeah.
because someone else's struggles look different. You think that they're more significant or less significant than your own. Uh, but every time I read something like that in here, I always highlight it because I like the I think it's good to hear over and over. I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners.
Yep.
And that's kind of the Jesus prayer. Is something that I try to recite as often as I can throughout the day. Is, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And I think the sinner part, because I think a lot of this, it comes with a huge amount of humility. You have to get outside of yourself and setting down that ego and like understanding that not any of this, that anything that's going on is not you.
Yeah.
This isn't our will.
Yep.
This isn't everything that I've done. I don't have anything that I have because of anything that I've done. If I just had stuff based off the things that I've done, I probably wouldn't have a whole lot of anything.
Sure.
At this point. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, just understanding that, it is God's will that governs all. And then I think once you start to have that realization and that humility, that start, you kind of start to let the ego die off a little bit. It just makes everything else. It just makes everything else so much easier to come to terms with and to be okay with. It's yeah, I think it's ego. At least that's what held me back for so long.
Absolutely.
It's just so many
Ego
people
still gets me.
yeah, and That's what I've been trying to get better about. Whenever I start to think in my mind, whenever I have a thought of like, well, I think, and I try to like stop myself right there and go, well, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't really matter actually. Um, I always like all the like the running jokes I see on my algorithm about like Protestant apologetics that they get into like reading the scriptures and they're like, well, this is what I think it means and blah blah and then blah blah blah. And I kind of agree, but every time I hear that, I kind of cringe a little bit because I'm like I don't think that I don't think he left. I think it says in here like not up for interpretation.
Yeah.
Like you do not add, you do not subtract from anything that I've given you.
Yep.
This is what it is. And maybe that's just who we are as people. We just like to pick whatever fits our agenda the best.
Oh, we
and
do.
whatever,
Absolutely.
Whatever just makes our life easier, like that's the story that we're going to kind of go with. But overall, I've been trying to make a more conscious effort of the whole like, well, I think mindset, and trying to lay it down and think, you know what? I'm actually not going to think about it. It doesn't matter. It's like I'm just going to keep doing what I know I have to do, and then whatever follows that after, I know that that's what it's supposed to be.
It's good.
But, yeah, man. Anything else you want to add to for?
Oh, not that I can think of. I mean, you could go 100 different rabbit trails with a lot of this. But yeah, like I said, like for me and my family, like we really want that community.
Yeah.
Trying to build it.
Yeah. It's I think we're seeing this. I had a discussion with a friend a while back talking about the idea of like history repeats itself, and not just like the wars and history books, but like society as a whole.
Yeah.
Of what we started out as people like Moses in the desert with nothing, just wandering the deserts. We see this, and it was all community, right? It was all tribes, and it was all there's never talk of like of course apart from the apostles, but there's not talks of like individual people throughout the Bible. It's always the tribe of Israel. It's always the 12 tribes of Israel. It's all there's always a community sense to it.
Yes.
And I think that was like one of the main messages that Jesus was trying to kind of portray was like God is in all of us.
Yeah.
And all of us together is stronger than anything that anyone on their own. And then like as time went on,
we weren't built to be by ourselves.
As time went on, society was shaping us to be by ourselves. We want to be independent and we want to be like strong spirited and think that we don't have to rely on anyone. Yeah. And I think that went really well for a while. And now it seems like we're coming around to this time again where people are going, wait a second, I'm kind of tired of being by myself.
Yep.
Like, I'm kind of tired of being alone all the time.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe I would like to have a group of people that I could talk to and that I could lay some thoughts out and not have to worry about being judged. Like,
oh yeah.
And they said they're seeing record amounts of young people back in churches.
Record.
People are flooding back to the churches.
Yeah.
Because, again, if you don't believe in God, if you're sitting here and you don't believe in God, look at that.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Everything's went to shit and no one knows what to do anymore. Mm-hmm. And everyone's first reaction is to get back into church. Yep. Like everyone's going, oh, I don't know what I'm seeing out here. I don't know what's happening out here anymore. But like my initial thing is like, and I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I literally did the same thing.
Yep.
Like just a couple months ago, I was like, I don't know what's going on anymore. This world does not seem like it is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. I think we're being lied to. And who knows? Think about what if COVID never happened? I don't know if I ever come to this realization.
I know. A lot of people are in that boat.
Like
they want us to be secluded in COVID.
Yeah.
And people are like, nah.
I think COVID was like everything as far as government-wise kind of stuff. I mean, COVID did it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. People, dude, Joe Rogan's bit talking about before COVID, I believe this. He said after COVID, I don't think we went to the moon.
Yeah,
yeah. That's like,
I know.
This huge swing of like pre-COVID, everyone's like, America first. We went to
Yeah.
the XYZ, all these things. Like, our government's not lying to us. They're not pedophiles. And then, like, after COVID, people are just like, we didn't go to the moon, did we? We
The
haven't.
Earth's flat. We didn't go to the moon.
Do you think the Earth's flat?
Dude, I personally don't, but I'm just hearing so many arguments for it. I'm like, maybe it's not completely outside of the realm of possibilities anymore. I don't know.
Because, the more I read the Bible, I feel inclined that I kind of have to think it is.
I don't know.
And the way that it's like described in the early is like very clear that he set the earth on four corners.
Sure.
And he put the firmament over us, and like, you can't, there's no getting in, there's no getting out.
Yeah. I don't know that I think that we have a universe, or we have our galaxy, the Milky Way. I think it does orbit. I think that I'm up in the air on the moon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. But I think that I do believe that we've had, telescopes go to space that can take pictures. And I do think that we have enough. I don't think there's ever a way when you could have, because there's so many satellites in space, and there's literally, 50 to 100 countries represented in outer space, all taking these pictures. I don't think you're going to get all of them on board with saying it's round,
Right.
and all having like similar, not the same picture, but similar type pictures. I think the Earth is round.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's flat, but I've heard some really good arguments for flat Earth. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that back then they simply described it because that's the only perspective that they could have given.
Right.
Because they had they couldn't jump 4 feet off the ground.
Right.
So there was no way for them to get any other perspective than just at eye level view.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if they would just let us over that ice wall one time.
Get into Antarctica and let's see what it is.
Because something doesn't make sense.
Right?
Like, whatever that is that they have on the other side of this.
Oh, we'll find out.
And, the flat earthers think that we're actually surrounded
Yes.
completely by the ice wall. And then there's actually like 6 other continents on the outside of the ice wall that we don't know about. And that's where like the Anunnaki or the Ankakites, and the amount of time they reference the Ankakites in here is kind of alarming. It's like, okay. And it's not in Enoch. I mean, like in and I think it's Deuteronomy.
I think we would have eventually like thrown a rock over the ice wall, or someone would have thrown a rock over, someone would have like escaped over it and then come back, or we drilled a hole through it. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, they won't even let you go there, though.
Oh, I know. That's why I think that if
you think that they would have,
I think that there would have been. I mean, we can get anywhere anymore.
Right.
I think that someone would have leaked something.
Right.
Someone would have been able to get over it.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere.
Well, they said that Admiral Byrd, that guy. Have you heard that guy's story?
He's dead.
Yeah, and he flew that plane over it. They said, and they have that recording. And again, who knows what you're listening to in these days?
I know.
But they have that recording from him, and he flies over it, and everyone's telling him, you hear him, they're like, don't do it, like don't go over it, and he flies over it, and he starts talking about these green lush lands on the other side of it, and these islands, this stuff he's never saw before.
Yeah,
and
I've heard that. I don't know. I don't know.
And then, like I think it's
we'll do a deep dive into the ice wall.
Yeah, the CIA has like that huge folder on just titled religion. That's no one knows what's inside that folder. Like, why does the CIA have a folder that's labeled religion?
Yeah,
and people can't see what's inside that. That should be for everyone.
It'll come out with time.
Yeah, I think so. I think eventually someone is gonna fly down there and they're gonna say the hell
live
with it.
stream it. Facebook Live.
They're gonna put GoPros all over this plane, and they're just gonna send it. Who knows? Maybe they'll get gunned down before they make it, but who knows?
I don't know, man.
Well, Zach, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over. Thanks for
good time every
hanging
time.
out. Yeah, for sure, no doubt. All of you guys, make sure head over there to Oxford Acres. Check out the chicken butchering workshop that they're going to be having. again, even maybe if you're not interested in butchering your own chickens, but yeah, I think you said good life skills, and
We're gonna do more classes than just that. We're looking at other types of classes.
yeah, I think it's good for people, especially that didn't get to grow up, maybe countryside, so to say, and
Sure.
to see these kinds of things. So yeah, I think that's good stuff. Make sure you guys head over there and check that out, and try to get over there if you can. Make sure you guys are also checking out Hydrate 1-2 IV Therapy on Facebook and Instagram. Get your IVs scheduled today. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching.